Hey folks, this is Lucid. I'm back with Sakaning.
Hello, everybody.
And it's turn, did we say 49?
I think it's turn 50.
50, okay, goodness. Okay, so let's hop back into it. We've had a lot of the smaller powers getting eliminated in this game. And there's kind of a top 3 or 4 that's been emerging. It's been Raga, Marignon, Ulm to a lesser degree, and Bogarus.
Atlantis, definitely.
Oh, Atlantis. Oh, sorry. Atlantis,
Yeah.
Raga, Bogarus, and to a
Marignon.
lesser degree, Ulm, right? Or did I say Mar? Okay, let's actually look at the score
I
graph.
think the top 4 are, in no particular order, Marignon, Raga, Atlantis, and Bogarus.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, these ones.
Yeah.
Excuse me
but
for
the
being
medium
dyslexic.
tier- yeah, so the medium tier, which includes Ulm, actually it's just Ulm,
Yeah,
and Utgard, are kind of not out of it yet.
right. But not looking great for them. Marignon, though, look at this province graph. This was the Utgard re-offensive.
Re-expansion,
Yeah, re-expansion. That's a better word. Okay. So, speaking of Utgard, let's go see what he's been doing. So he had conquered a bunch of land for himself. Marignon doubled down. They're like, okay, you're going to come fight. He thought there was going to be a battle here. Like maybe Utgard moves in or something. He moved everybody. Anyway, there's just this chaff inside the fort.
Yeah. But okay, so I'm noticing a few things actually. So, like, for example, Marignon moved into that province west of Utgard's capital, but there wasn't a fight. So that means there was like 0 PD there.
Right. And you thought they were going to come down here and try to take this fort back, but it appears they have not.
What's that? Why is Raga?
Ooh. Stalker Thug. Interesting. You don't see these every day.
All right. Big old assassin here.
Sis, we'll go take out the PD too.
So I don't know what's going on here with Raga attacking this province of Marignon on the.
I think this was Indies, right?
Well,
And
I think it was Marignon's, and then Indies took it.
Right,
and
yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But Utgard, I don't know why he moved up. Like on Utgard's eastern front, it looked like he was going down to protect his throne.
Right.
But then he moves up there. I guess. No, last turn. Wait, maybe with the big army was on the Highlands last turn. The big Marignon army. Was it on
Last
that
turn they were here, right?
Okay. So
And
why
so-
is Utgard moving to that Palisades? Did
Yeah, I don't
Raga
know.
end a nap with Utgard?
I don't think so.
Like, that's a weird move.
Yeah, it's a weird move.
And not only that, but the other army that Utgard had in that southernmost province of his moved back into the forest. It seems like he's kind of moving northeast. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not really clear if he's trying to catch raiders or what he's trying to do. So,
All right, we'll have to keep an eye on that.
yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. I'm sure his intentions will become obvious, but it's going to be a bit of a weird situation because, like, if Marignon moves south, he has to move these armies out now if they're going to get to his cap. So,
Yeah, that is a bit weird. In other interesting moves, Marignon on his southern border has moved his big army back to his capital, which is fine actually because he still is defending his southern. Like, you know, if Ulm moves his big army north, Marignon can still fight it off, right?
yeah,
But maybe he was
also
wanted to
projecting
have the
this.
ability to sail across, even to go to the throne, whatever. Like he can
Right.
move a lot of places. So that's interesting.
It looks like what he wants to do is force a stalemate with Ulm while he eats Utgard.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's trying to do, which I think is a good plan, actually.
yeah. So far, good moves. I'm liking the sort of. I think Marignon has engineered a situation where he has like an abundance of good moves to choose from.
Right.
And, you know, we might not think some of his moves are the best, but he's still making good moves overall. Like these are,
Right.
These are all good moves.
And he's got these 2 super rich provinces now. I mean, this is a ton of income.
Yep.
So
200, 165.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that front? I don't think so.
Let's go ahead and check out. Wait, what else do we have? We have Bogarus. Okay, so Joman says, enough of this vulturing. We're going to ride out. And they do. And apparently old men are very vulnerable to archer fire. And there we go. Eparch's netting in about half the kills. Very nice. And
was 3, but that was a lot of mages, so
yeah.
And a pretty small army from Bogarus, so
they were probably a little out of position here. Like they were kind of forward positioned a bit.
Yeah. And in this case, Blade Wind or whatever the Master Sujengas were casting is gonna kill Eparchs.
Yeah.
Okay, so Joman is now down to only that fort, basically.
Right.
Because Atlantis has taken the underwater fort.
Which we should watch.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Elemental spam versus elemental spam plus troops. Some schools of sharks coming in. See, this is the problem, like a few bad moments of your elementals being outnumbered at the front gate, and you're in trouble. Let's watch this again. I want to see how many water gems he had on these guys. They water 3. You can load him up with more gems than this. So I feel like he's run out of water gems too.
Yeah. I think he's just out of stuff.
But, like maybe Raga has some lying around or something. I don't know. Like, this is the perfect time to do water elemental spam. Like, if you can fill this gate up with, like, 2 water elemental stick. 3 water elemental stick. So, like, ideally you summon, like, 12. It's going to put a big hurting on this army.
And diplomatically, this is a great time for, other players who are not Atlantis to give water gems to Joman, right?
Yeah. Okay, well, rip.
That's that. And, I mean, that's basically it. There aren't many other conflicts going on at the moment.
Right. Now, Raga has to decide what he's going to do now, because Raga is a free agent.
Okay, so what do you do now if you're Raga?
I mean, I eat Gath.
Yeah.
I've got like a 6th sense for players that aren't... you don't even need a 6th sense, but if you find somebody that's not doing anything, you have to have that kill instinct that says, we need to go take that.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to stop him now, because, Atlantis might, but Atlantis still has maybe a turn... No, Atlantis is done, I guess.
Atlantis is done. Okay, so let's ask the question, what does Atlantis do now?
I think they also eat Gath.
Go eat Gath. All right, fair enough.
Maybe some of this is going to make it clear, like, how diplomacy evolves a bit. Like, this is why you staying small is not a viable strategy. Because bigger nations, like, the default move for bigger nations in the mid-game is to eat smaller nations.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's turn 50, whatever, so we're kind of...
We're late mid-game
here. This is, okay, what about Bogarus?
So Bogarus, they have 1 turn left of vulturing on Gath. I mean, on Joman, or 2 turns.
But unfortunately, they do not border Gath.
It's going to be tricky. I think the risk is, if Bogarus does anything, they are just a complete natural target for Atlantis. I would try, if I were Bogarus, to try really hard to get Raga to attack Atlantis.
Yeah. I think you... I think the existential threat from underwater Atlantis being right up against your capital is just never going to go away as Bogarus.
Yeah.
So you gotta either you just wait it out.
Well, and Atlantis has enough land now that has enough of a land front with Bogarus that it's worth, like, there's a lot to gain, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
For
Bogarus if he wins.
Yes, absolutely.
It's no longer like a situation where Atlantis is, largely underwater and he's not going to get much if he fights it.
Yeah.
But what tech do you think Bogarus is going to need to fight Atlantis?
Well, one issue is that he is going to need some way to go underwater because the whole point of this war is to get rid of this existential threat that, like, if Bogarus conquers like all of former Joman and even the land to the north, Atlantis still has a lake and can just go and take Bogarus's cap. And so he wouldn't. I'm saying that wouldn't be like a war-winning move, but that's always going to be a threat. So, and not
if you can take all the land from Atlantis, like especially Atlantis' cap too, because that's on land. Okay, you strip the ability of Atlantis to get good troops. So
right, but I'm not even saying, like, suppose, for example, Bogarus pushes back and takes like Joman, let's say, maybe that throne there to the north of that throne. Like,
let's say he just pushes. He takes all the Joman and then some of this stuff, but he's not able to get to the cap.
But suppose he does that. That is, I think that is a bad position for Bogarus because now all your holdings are on coasts, near Atlantis's underwater stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously it's good in the sense that you have more land and you've weakened Atlantis some, but that doesn't make you any more comfortable. Like, what you need to do is either like take out that southern Joman lake, and that way you can hold on to the Joman land comfortably, or you need to take out the lake near your cap, and then, but that I
think it's a long road to fight Atlantis underwater. I think you just try to kill him on land. But
well, I agree, but I don't think you can kill him like alone. Like I just described that scenario. If he takes all that land that we just described, like, the throne and Joman, to be able to push on from there onto the cap while being so exposed on the flanks to, attacks from underwater, I think is very hard, if not impossible.
I don't necessarily think so, because I think if you get all this land, you've switched the clock to being in your favor. Because if you have all this, you're going to have like at least twice the economy of Atlantis. So you don't even have to go get his cap immediately. You just make sure you have enough stuff to defend what you've got, and you can go get his cap when you're ready. Like once you have enough to defend and get his cap. And with getting twice the economy, you should be able to do that. Yeah. The question, so what tech would he need? Because he's going to have to deal with the same garbage that Joman had to deal with, which is really good against human troops.
Yeah, so how do you deal against the wailing winds? I think one thing he has to do, this is not super high tech, but he has Holy Threes, so he needs to get a little bit of like crystal matrix gear to be able to have
divine channeling. Fanaticism.
Yeah, fanaticism in your fight. So that's a small thing, but you got to do it, and it's not too hard to do as Bogarus. Now he's going to be fighting the high protect. Now, what scales does Bogarus has? He has cold scales, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine. So he's going to be fighting super high protection dudes, with high mundane protection too. So
yeah,
the heavy cav that he's been using, that he used against Agartha, are going to be
really bad,
useless.
Yeah.
So it's human mage time, right? It's eparchs and it's astral and it's communions and air magic, right? He's got good. I think it's those Bogarus has these astral air mages, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The astropelagists.
Yeah. Astral air is great because
it's really good.
Honestly, like Thunder Strikes.
It's one of the best spells all game. It's so good.
It might just kill the guy who's got Wailing Winds up,
It could. Bogarus can get a lot of Thunderstrike out too.
Yeah, I think it is time for Thunderstrike. And you know, Bogarus's troops...
All right, so given that, though, Sack, how do you... So Bogarus is not ready to do that. Like, right now he's got... If you look at his army composition, you know, he's got mages and stuff in some of these, but, like, it's very troop-heavy composition.
Well, it's troop-heavy because he didn't lose the troops. You know, like, those are left over from the Agartha War. Now, if he has been recruiting more troops, I can understand. You don't want to stop.
Yeah.
But if your plan is, okay, now we're going against Atlantis, you're recruiting Astral Air Mages everywhere all the time. And in terms of what your chaff filler buffer is going to be...
So he's got some long dead up here, and I'm noticing he's got a shit ton of Hoberg crossbow.
I like crossbows.
Though we're getting to the point in the game where crossbows suck, but yeah.
Except the thing is, yes, but, and here's the but, is that Atlantis does have air access, but it's kind of limited. It's only the cat mages, right?
Yeah.
Or am I wrong about
I mean,
that?
a good Atlantis player is going to have Aerofin if they're fighting crossbows.
Yeah, but
you just, I mean, they also have crystal matrices, so.
Okay, so what my point is that even if, like, for an opponent that only has like one mage that can do a key spell, in this case, Aerofend, if you're going to have a big land war against Atlantis and you're going to be fighting with like 2 or 3 armies, he has to have Aerofend in all of those battles, which means he has to have air gems for all of those commanders. He has to have, it depends on the nation. I forget if Atlantis has it guaranteed or if it's a random.
It's a random. It's like 1 in 4. Yeah.
So he might only have 5 dudes that can cast it in his whole empire.
Yeah.
And 3 of those have to be in those battles.
No.
Then, like,
you do a crystal matrix on him, and then you do Wailing Winds turn 1, and you do Aerofin turn 2.
Yeah, what I meant was, like, if they're going to be, because you're not going to have one Doomstack versus one Doomstack. You might have 2 or 3 different armies.
Right, but you just need 1 per army.
Exactly, but you only have 5 total. So what I'm trying to say is,
but yeah, no, the air randoms for Atlantis are one of the variables that size how many armies they can have.
Yes, but as Bogarus, you have to you still have to challenge your opponent. You have to force them to bring that to the fight. And if, like, I guess my point is...
Yeah, so yeah, some crossbows probably isn't bad, but even then, crossbows aren't going to hurt the Atlantis troops in cold. I think they're just irrelevant. Like, even if they have the Aerofend. Don't have Aerofend, but... Yeah, especially Hoberg crossbows, which don't do a lot of damage. But it looks like he's got vulture eyes this way. But my thinking on it now, after us having kind of talked about it a bit, is Bogarus has some blood access. They're not like a blood mega power, but they're a blood power.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he needs to get out of the human troop game, get into the blood troop game if he can, and switch his he needs more forts to be able to turn all the income he's generating into mages. So get some human chaff in the meantime, but not like high quality stuff anymore, like the cavalry. And get some like the long dead are fine, or some of the cheap blood summons, some chaff, and switch to like an almost entirely mage army. And I think that's how he has to win the war. But in the meantime, what that means is like forting up a lot more than not forting up all the way, but like getting 5 more forts.
Proportional to his income.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he can turn 80% of his income into mages.
Yeah. Oftentimes, guys, by turn 50 or something, most nations are like going to be recruiting sacreds from their capital, but that's pretty much it. Like, you're no longer recruiting a lot of your units because your mages just become so much more valuable.
Well, it's just a lot of the units get hard countered. Like, human units get hard countered, where they're not worth anything. Like, you could bring 1,000 Bogarus troops to fight this army, which is like 200, and the 200 are going to win. And they could be your best heavy cav, doesn't matter. Just 39 mundane protection. They don't care about human troops anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this is going to be interesting. I think the next Diplo evolution is going to be pretty spicy.
Why don't we poke ahead and
Yeah.
see what happens?
Turn 51. It's also it's looking like Bogarus may want to. It looks like he's wanting to vulture somewhere to the east. I don't know if it's going to be Marignon or if it's going to be Ulm, but I think it's going to be one of those two. So let's see what we got. What's Bogarus doing? No movement from Bogarus.
Yeah, nothing too significant here.
This fort's still not broken. Is this the same turn? No, it's a different turn. When you look at it, a turn, you're like, is this the same one?
Yeah. Okay, so I guess the main thing is like Marignon, because Marignon right now is at the center of everything.
So let's see what happened. Marignon has pushed south. And they're pushing back. So they've counter-raided a lot.
Oh, I think I just figured out what's happened here. Hang on. Okay, well, let's look. Yeah, so Marignon and Utgard. Let's take a look here.
So the armies are dancing. Nobody's touching. But Raga has decided he's going to take this throne.
Yeah, so Raga, last turn, we saw him attack sort of Marignon's periphery. Now, we're not sure if this is like a declaration of war or if he just bullied Marignon out of it.
Well, this is an attack on a Marinese fort. That's a throne. So this is an attack.
Right, but it could have been like, it might not be a full declaration of war. Like Raga could have said, I want this throne, and then Marignon could have ceded it to him, right? Could have, but I don't think he has, because look at those armies on the coast. I think he's preparing to sail across.
Yeah, I don't think that has been settled. So,
but if you look to the south, remember how Marignon moved all his troops back into the capital?
Right.
I think Marignon might have pieced out with Ulm.
You think so? Could be.
Well, he kind of demilitarized the border there.
Right.
And he's like, his troop movement tells me, I think that Raga ended the nap with Marignon. And Marignon has been getting ready for 2 turns to sail across to go defend his throne. And in response, he took advantage of the big battle that was the loss for Ulm to kind of get peace from Ulm.
Yeah.
And Ulm might be, Ulm, that's kind of, it's not ideal for Ulm, but Ulm has other targets. He could go after Gath too. And maybe Bogarus is coming after him, so it's not like Ulm is like, short of things to do.
Yeah,
obviously, it would have been better if he won.
Marignon's a pretty obvious target for Ulm, but he just got spanked, and it's really hard to continue a war where you're getting spanked.
Exactly.
Even if you turn it, you think you could turn it around. Just it's hard. Mm-hmm. It's mentally challenging to like keep throwing yourself into something where you just had such a bad experience.
Yeah. So anyways, that's just a guess, but we'll have to see if that's how things
But yeah, there's no province exchange on the Marignon-Ulm front. So that's going to be an interesting kind of diplo move, because now if Raga's semi-committed, Atlantis free agent, Bogarus free agent, they either have the decision to fight each other, or they can jump on some of these other players. So... Mm-hmm. I guess we skip ahead. I don't think much happened.
Yeah, let's see what happens in turn 52.
I think we've got turn 53 too we can do if we need to.
Oh, we got messages from people.
A message from Utgard. Good evening, fellow nations. Brothers, omniscience totally not going to be wished for rocks. We, the peaceful land of Utgard, have had a magnificent relation with all of our neighbors throughout our storied history. We've been completely peaceful, exchanged arms with the Timu and the cuddly ghosts of Lemuria who were terribly misunderstood. It wasn't their fault that their hugs hurt. We have diplomatically handled the completely accidental, or so we believe, wrong turn that Marignon's fleets and armies took, where amazingly several dozen generals and admirals didn't notice the signs that read, "This is Utgard. Please do not enter without a proper visa." The whole kerfuffle was exceptionally interesting, as despite repeated attempts to contact these generals and admirals with Gamherdings to notify them of their mistake, The Marignon men continued to enter our shores. Unbelievable. They even had these pointy sticks that a few of them threw in the air, and they really hurt our poor diplomatic envoys. If any other nation would please inform us of what these crossbows are and how to prevent them from harming innocent gams in the future, would be very much appreciated. So I think Utgard's really worried about the crossbows, which does make sense because gam herdings kind of do get pin-cushioned by them.
And flaming arrow crossbows.
Right. Despite these diplomatic faux pas, Utgard remains and always will be a peaceful conflagration of big-boned individuals who happen to have a thing for teenage girls and so I guess this blood hunting and recently deceased. We've checked with our greatest giant lawyers, and they have advised us to call this practice an elongated bring someone else's daughter. Okay, goodness, it's a little inappropriate, but okay. A special cherry blossom. Maybe I should read these before I read them out. A wondrous tree to stand eternal vigil. So I guess he's casting Mother Oak. And he's looking for donations. Not exactly sure.
I'm reading through very quickly.
A message from Bogarus. Last turn, Bogarus and Raga established a NAP 3. And Bogarus ended NAP with Marignon. Hostilities potentially to commence on 53-54. So Bogarus has decided to go after Marignon. And has napped Raga. And this is Mother Oak going up. I think this is our first global. Kind of late.
Holy shit, yeah. That is late.
Okay, so I think this is going to be a quick turn. I think we're going to go to 53 pretty quick. But let's go check out Marignon, because I think everything is going to center around them for the next few turns.
Yeah, okay, so we don't know the exact status of like the Ulm Marignon Diplo that we were hinting at last time. But
there's no exchange of provinces.
Yeah. And if we look at Ulm doesn't seem to have committed to anything in particular right now.
Right.
If we look at Raga having napped Bogarus, sounds like, so Bogarus going after Marignon makes sense. Like that's a legitimate target because Bogarus can not easily, but he can go after Abysia pretty fast. And that's like a cap that's right exposed on the border.
Oh, right here? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's like great land for him to grab right away. And even if Bogarus just gets Abysia and then pieces out, like that's great. Right? Like just get a cap. What I'm wondering is, does Raga intend to join in on this and make this a long affair?
He can potentially attack all through this front too.
Oh, absolutely, he can do a lot more as well. I'm wondering, like, is this supposed to be like a combined attack, or is Raga just trying to get this throne and that's it, right?
Okay, so you're questioning how deep, like how
alliance against Marignon go.
Yeah, I mean, there's like Raga would have to take all this and then decide whether they want to go south. I bet you Raga will decide to eat Gath instead, but
because Raga, if you look back at Abysia, Raga fighting Marignon, he could have also pushed from that side because he borders there.
Right.
Raga borders Marignon on Marignon's west and Raga's east at Abysia.
Oh, right here, yeah.
But if he is snapping with Bogarus and Bogarus is attacking Marignon, clearly that's where Bogarus is going to attack. So Raga is like giving up that front.
I think he's going to attack on both.
Yeah, I mean, Raga is giving up that avenue of attack, which makes sense. It's a long...
I think people are starting to eye thrones, too. Like, there is a focus placed on thrones, and Raga's got... Let's see how many Raga has. They've got 3. There's 2 that aren't claimed. I don't know. This is going to be one of the ones they're going to get. So they've got this one. That one's right in their reach, but they don't have it. And then this one. And then this one's unclaimed. So, hard to say. But Atlantis might be going for this one, I think. Like, this army has attacked Gath, which I think is what you would expect.
Yep.
It's sailed from here, interesting, so it's a kind of cool play. And he's got more reinforcements coming. My guess is he doesn't even go for Gath's cap, and is like, yeah, we'll take this throne.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think Atlantis can totally, especially now that Bogarus is going to attack Marignan. Now Atlantis is not worried about an attack from Bogarus. So
right.
He's free to move all his dudes, and do something useful like conquer Gath, which would be a great addition for Atlantis.
Right.
It also gives him access to the throne that Ulm currently controls, to northwest of Gath.
Oh,
if
this
Atlantis
one, yeah.
takes over Gath, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He borders that. So a lot of the Diplo now is going to be like, which war do I participate in so that I can border more thrones?
Yeah, I think so. Or stop one of the people that's getting more thrones, which right now, so Raga's getting more thrones, Atlantis is getting more thrones. But neither of them are in like a critical state for thrones.
Yeah, nobody's in danger of winning right away, like via a throne rush.
Okay, did we cover everything for Marignan? I think that is the main question. I think there wasn't a lot that actually happened.
Really. Yeah, people are dancing. I think Marignan, despite all this threat of war against Bogarus, I think you still try to kill off Utgard, right?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, if he's made peace with Ulm and he can kill Utgard, which the problem is he's going to be like, this army is almost definitely going to be starving if there's only 300 supplies here, unless he's got bags, which I'm not thinking he does because he was starving earlier. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. This is going to be a scary battle. I think it's really hard to say how this would go. But problem is, if you lose this battle, you lose these two forts. But as long as you're sitting here dancing around, you're getting income from them. So I don't know. But I think, I think you do try to do it. But I think you try to do this with something clever and not try to brute force it with just humans. Like, if you have humans, you need to have maybe some tech, like, we know he has fog warriors. And the game herdings have magic weapons, I think. But, maybe something else, like some other kind of research target he hits that's going to be good against the game herdings.
I think they have MR.
Yeah.
So, I think, well, look, as long as he has, like, a Serpent's Blessing, I think he's kind of good to go with humans. He might not have Serpent's Blessing, but Utgard might not have Foul Vapors, so...
Yeah. Could be.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we just don't know what Utgard's going to do, because Utgard hasn't been doing much. But you commit to this huge cap battle, and then Utgard does something you don't expect. Like, there's a lot of ways... With human armies, there's a lot of degrees... There's a lot of ways it can fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
very hard to be super confident. And... Like, the thing about him Utgard doomstacking like this is it's going to force Marignan, if he's going to take the fight, to have to bring a ton of human troops. Otherwise, you just lose. If you're, like, you don't want to bring 100 human troops most of the time. If you're going to be running into 200 or 300 giants.
I think so. In this position, like, given what I would have seen from Utgard so far, which is to say mostly sacreds, no Scrotty, very few communions, no Foul Vapors. Of all of those things, I think the key tech here is Enchantment 7. I think you need to do Serpent's Blessing, Mass Flight with 700 two-handed sword dudes.
Yeah, that would chop them up pretty good.
Because Foul Vapors is actually the only thing that's going to stop that Marignan army unless he has Serpent's Blessing. So you need Serpent's Blessing.
Yeah.
A Communion is not going to live up to that size of a human army with flight. And neither are Party, to be honest, with like a bajillion fire crossbows. So if he has that
probably
tech,
true. Well, that's a maybe on Scrotty, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen any, so...
Yeah, we haven't seen any, but Scrotty can do crazy things. But if he has enough mages, you can guarantee you kill the Scrotty.
Yeah.
But
so, as long as he can protect against... as long as he has Serpent's Blessing, which is hard for Marignan because you need nature and it's a pain. but I think he can go for it. And honestly, even the monolith is not too is with all the mages and honestly the humans. They do.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to have to get out your wallet and pay to kill the monolith, you know. But
yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and do turn 53.
Okay, I gotta look this up.
Which, yeah, I don't think you have, but I've got. Okay, and this is going to be a quick turn too, it looks like.
So Atlantis is...
Oh, indeed.
Yeah, Atlantis is going right for that throne.
Right for that throne. We'll be taking that, thank you, sir.
What throne is it, by the way? The underwater throne?
Yeah. Marignon with an interesting play here. What throne is it? The Throne of Fortune.
Okay.
It appears Marignon has decided to give up this.
I thought he was gonna like consolidate. Marignon was with that army, but
Marignon didn't choose to sail and fight this army either.
Marignon looks like he's kind of
he's chickening out.
Chickening out, yeah.
He's chickening out. Okay, this is a thing too. I think new players get very concerned. And Marignon, I have no idea how many games he's been in or anything like that, but people who haven't been in a lot of Dominions games do not like it when they get attacked by many players. I think one thing people could watch is if you watch Nuclear Monkey play Middle Age Xibalba, it will hopefully help. He's got a series on it. It will hopefully help cure you of your fear in being in many wars. Because it's only bad being in many wars if you're losing all the wars. Or losing most of the wars. If you're in many wars and you're neutral in some... Like, let's say you're in a four-front war. You're neutral in one of them, you're slightly winning two of them, and you're losing one of them. Like, that's probably actually a good situation. Like, you may be the fastest grower on the province score graph like that. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think what's happened to Marignon is he's had this Diplo disaster with Raga attacking him, Bogarus saying he's going to attack, and now he just feels the walls caving in. He doesn't feel confident to fight the Utgard army, and he's retracting. Which there's times to retract, but it looks like he could have. I think he could have won. Let's see, what are these guys doing? I mean, this is nothing. This Sacred's at turn 50.
Okay, yeah. So I think what's let's take a look at the map here. So you can see from Bogarus has done a great job with his logistics. He's got a huge army massing onto Abyssia.
Right.
From both the north and the south, right? So that's his target, and I suspect that Marignon is thinking, I've got to go make my big army to go confront this new threat from Bogarus. Fair enough.
Sure.
But the problem is, like, Abyssia is valuable. Yes, it's fire gems with which Marignon loves, and it's a capital, sure. But Abyssia, the player, is dead. So if you had to sacrifice a couple of provinces on that front to Bogarus, and later, yes, he would start the war on that front at a disadvantage because he would have taken the first few forts. But you could potentially fight him back and get them later. And what would you do with those extra turns? You could kill off Utgard.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of kind of panic retreating.
He could have probably killed this Ragan army too.
Possibly, yes. I agree. By sailing across, I think he could have also. In other words, and I guess this is something that it goes on to like fighting a multi-front war. Forts give you a lot of time to react to things. You don't have to be on top of your fort ready to defend an attacker.
Right.
In most cases, you can let them siege your fort, and you've got like 3 turns before you have to do anything about it. Now, obviously, that's a ton of...
There's a ton of troops. Yeah, not in this case, but...
Yeah, but,
But also, he has fallen angels and stuff. That you can do creative things if Bogarus isn't bringing the exact right stuff.
And look, guys, Bogarus's troops are cavalry. That's terrible for sieging. And Marignon has castle defender troops, and that's a citadel.
Yeah.
Okay. He can make that siege last a very long time.
Maybe.
Enough that
he's got Howarders. Who are his castle defending troops? I think it's these guys, right? The palace guards.
Yeah, I think others also have that. I think it's not the only one.
The halberdiers. Oh, yeah, they have it one.
Like a lot of the guys that he's using anyways have this.
But not the swordsmen and not the crossbowmen. So just the halberdiers. So probably like 30 castle defenders.
Yeah. I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that if you're expecting a war on a war has now opened up on a new front that you weren't expecting before. You don't have, let's say you had a nap 3. It doesn't mean you have to get your army there in 3 turns, otherwise you lose. There's a bit of a lag. It's okay if the enemy attacks you, sits on your forts for a couple of turns, before you they're not going to siege them all down. Maybe you do lose one, fair enough. And I think in this case, it's worth sacrificing Abyssia to knock out Utgard. Because if you knock out Utgard, then that's a whole threat vector that's not going to be an issue anymore. Checking for starvation.
Yeah, that's a good bit of it. It's about like 50%. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do, I think. And I don't know if he has flames from the sky and stuff, but I think too, if you're in a multi-front war, especially, it's hard to do when you don't have mobility, but with Marignon they have sailing mobility. So what I would be looking to do is if somebody's going to come mess with me because I'm at war with other people, I would fill my soul with venom, and I would say, okay, you can come mess with me, but get out your wallet. And I would just make it a point. I think it's worth making it a point that, I'm going to force you to pay to take stuff from me. So, this Raga got this for free, which is a bad message, in my opinion, to send to the player. So, anyway, I think you sail across, you take these fights, but it does, I think, this is the other thing, I think. So, you have to be, when you get in a multi-front war, you cannot pass on the opportunity to take a decent fight. If you have your Doomstack in position to take a decent fight, you have to take it. Right? And you, in my Lemuria game, that'll come up. But, you just rapidly move from taking one fight to another, and the only way to win a multi-front war is to rapidly take pretty good fights in rapid succession. Otherwise you're just going to be on your heels the whole time.
So I can understand the feeling that, Marignon might be thinking, look, I'm feeling like 70-30 against Utgard's Doomstack.
Yeah.
Right? What if it's the 30%? What if I lose the fight and then I am devastated and can't fight against all the other enemies that are fighting me? That is the most common reason for newer players to not make that commitment.
I think if I were playing this, I would have tested, not extensively, but a little bit, for how I would do against Gamherdings. And my intuition from having played the game a bit is we'd probably do fine.
I think
I've shot Gamherdings full of crossbows plenty of times.
Yeah.
Scotty full of crossbows plenty of times.
Exactly. To tell you the truth, in that 70-30 scenario that I was talking about, the only times that the 30% is scary is if they're doing I don't know, rigor mortis, a kind of play where you can just lose everything.
Yeah.
In this kind of fight versus a pile of Gamherdings, maybe you just retreat, right? You're not gonna, losing the battle is you're you're not going to lose everything, right? Even
Yeah.
even a loss is not going to be as devastating as you think it is.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the greater thing is the strategic point, which is if you're in a multi-front war, you have to take these fights. Like, you cannot pass on a fight. If somebody says, like, when Raga's sitting on this fort and this fort's cracked, what Raga's saying is, I want to fight you. And if you're like, well, no, then sure, you're dodging what may be a tactical loss. Because you may have had a tactical loss if you went and fight him. But you're guaranteeing yourself a strategic loss. Whereas you are not in a position where you're going to be trading well. Because you're fighting 4 people at once. Like, the only way you trade well in a multi-front war is by taking their armies off the table. But, like, he was not under that kind of pressure fighting Utgard earlier. But now he is, because he's in a multi-front war.
Which actually, brings us back. If a couple of turns ago he had been more decisive in Utgard, then that threat would be eliminated now.
Right.
And he'd be in a much better position to fight.
Right.
And
but you and I were both we were like, oh, he's kind of piddling around, but we were also kind of okay with it.
Well, we both thought that he was taking, like, he wasn't making an effective use of his large army.
Right.
We were okay with the idea of him taking all the land.
Right.
But that's contingent upon...
But he wasn't on the clock then. Now he's on the clock. And that's why it's okay before if he was dodging fights, but now it's not.
Yeah. I guess what's tragic too is that last turn, like, Marignon actually did have the ability, for example, to kill that Raga army. Like,
yeah, he did.
Stuff he had on his coast.
If that stuff was sailing, yeah.
Yeah, he had the ability, so it really was like a conscious decision not to.
But you can kind of tell looking at the score graph what he's thinking. Like, he probably feels like Bogarus, Raga, they've all both of these guys who are position 1 and 2 have ganged up on me. Meanwhile, I'm fighting position 4. Or at position 4 and 5. Right? Or, well, 5 and 6. He's position 4. So he's position 4. He's fighting position 1 and 2 and 5 and 6 potentially. But maybe not 5 if we don't count all of them. So he's feeling a little overwhelmed. But if we look at army size, he's number 1 still, kind of. Well, okay, Bogarus is pretty big now. But he was 1. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's a real threat from Raga. Like, I don't think... Raga isn't showing...
Raga wants a throne, but...
Yeah, but just the throne. Like, he doesn't want more.
Would you give that to him?
I think it wouldn't be... Like, honestly, if I was in the position Marignon was in last turn, I think he had the sailing armies to go fight that.
Right.
And I would have fought... And, like, I think...
Now it's like water under the bridge, but last, because he's taken it.
Yeah. Like, but if my armies hadn't been in position, like, I think that's acceptable. I think...
Yeah.
I think you can cede, those provinces and that throne to Raga, and that gives you... But you have to use... And for all we know, he might have done it already, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I suggested a couple turns ago, maybe he did. But you then have to use that relief of pressure to go and finish off Utgard.
Yeah.
Concede a few early provinces to the war in Bogarus, and then turn around with that massive doom stack that killed Utgard, and just go and have a big war with Bogarus, right?
Yeah. And I think there's some of it too. Like, I think you and I both feel he's really strong right now. Like, he shouldn't be backing down,
We feel he's strong, yeah.
We feel he's strong. He may not feel he's strong, but yeah.
I guess there's... And maybe it's not so much playing... Maybe it's not just like the specifics of playing as a human nation, but there are like some very powerful spells or just mechanics in the game that you kind of have to understand, and we don't know like what tech he's going for.
Right.
Like, honestly, like if Marignon can put up like Firestorm in a battle against Bogarus, that's gonna like delete most of those big armies.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of ways, if Marignon is really ahead in tech, he can punish a Bogarus offensive before he brings his army in.
yeah, like I'm not talking flames from the sky. I'm talking just like the battle.
No, I know, yeah.
Yeah, like.
I mean, heavy cab will kind of get back there, but if you have a good caster, you know.
But right, because you have like it's.
And he has fallen angels. They have fire, so there you go.
There you go. There you go. Problem solved. Right. He already has the great mage to do it.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't have the fallen angels, like you have high F, you don't need like a huge army communion to support that, right?
Yeah, I would be super cautious about attacking Lemuria with fallen angels, assuming they also have high evocation with human armies. I would be.
You would be super
like if you were Lemuria, I mean not Lemuria. If you were Marignon Sakane, and I was like, okay, for whatever reason, I think it's the right idea to attack you now. Like this army composition rolling in, I would be.
Oh, this is scary.
I would be filling my britches, right? Running into a fort where, like, it says you have 2 fallen angels and then presumably a bunch of mages and PD. Like, but even just this total quantity.
Oh yeah, no. Marignon has very scary offensive potential. Like
Defensive potential too. Like attacking a fort behind PD.
Yes,
there's a big difference having 50 PD in front of your fallen angels that are getting ready to do some scary shit than like them showing up randomly to a battle. So by themselves.
I'm not saying they don't have defensive, but I guess what I wanted to emphasize is that Marignon as a nation is very killy. Crossbows, your guys don't have shields; they have giant two-handed weapons. Right. What are your paths? They're fire.
Yeah.
Astral air, right? Evocation paths, things like that. So like your whole nation is like, I'm gonna do damage to you. And Bogarus is like a human nation. They have great mages, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But their troops are kind of meh, and they've just got old human dudes.
Yeah.
So, like, you're going to take... It's going to hurt, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be... So, first of all, kudos to Bogarus for being like, you know what, I can do this, let's go.
Yeah.
But Marignon has to feel and live that boldness and be like...
Yeah.
You want, like, his attitude should be, seriously, you want
the other, exactly. You think you can do this? You think you can do this? We're late enough in the game. Turn 53. There's a when you look at how Dominions works in the mid game, in early mid game, and there's a strong offensive advantage. Meaning, when you're fighting, you want to be taking enemy territory, right? You don't want the war to be in your area, because then, you know, all things equal, they're raiding your stuff, you're not raiding theirs. As you shift from like mid-game to late mid-game, and then from late mid-game to late game, there's a very strong defensive advantage. So there are I can think of really countless times in a game where I have thought, man, I'll get wrecked if I want to launch an attack from Abyssia up, you know, through an attack Joman. I mean, at Bogarus. Like, I don't see how me as Marignon will be able to win this war. Offensively.
Mm-hmm. But defensively.
But defensively, you want to come and sit on top of my fort? And you think you're going to take this from me with all these human troops? Like, get out of here. You know?
Yeah.
And that's a thing that if you haven't played the game and gotten into late mid-game or late game, a lot of times you won't know. Because, like, the other thing is, like, at some point, Flames from the Sky is going to come online. And Marignon can cast that pretty easily.
Yep.
But I mean, also they have fallen angels, like we were talking about, all the tech that can be used defensively behind PD to just wreck this. So, anyway.
Yeah, but that's, you know, why you gotta play more games, get that experience, get that feel for the game.
Yeah.
And
have that confidence where you can say, "Come and get it."
And therefore have that confidence that, you know what, I can afford to take 2-3 more turns to go knock out Utgard before I have to deal with
right
in this particular case. Well, anyways, we'll see what Marignon decides to do in the end.
Yeah. But I think, is there too much more to cover? I don't think so. There's really not much happening on the map right now.
Yeah, that's it for the turn. Ulm is kind of sitting still. It's not clear what he intends to do.
Okay, talk about that a little bit. What do you think you do as Ulm? You've mentioned Gath before, but
Gath, yeah. Okay, so I actually, so part of me, so Ulm had that bad battle a couple turns ago against Marignon, and that is probably when they pieced out. Marignon had asked him because Raga was like attacking or something. Partly, Ulm didn't have good diplomatic intel because Ulm
he probably shouldn't have pieced out then.
Ulm lost his offensive into Marignon, but he was never really under threat from a Marignese offensive.
Yeah,
I mean, he kind of was from the south.
Yeah,
but that was in
kind of not. Look at all this stuff in his capital.
Yeah, that's recent though, and that's also mostly wolves. But
but
that was in limbo, and as long as like Marignon was being threatened by Utgard, right? He still wasn't sure about the Doom stack, right? That was in limbo. I think had he known about Bogarus's intentions and Raga's intentions, he probably could and should have stayed in the war with Marignon. At little risk to himself.
Even if he just stayed in it long enough, so that, like, let's say Marignon's then trying to peace out with Utgard, like, his condition upon leaving the war with Marignon could be that he gets to have Utgard's stuff.
Sure. Yeah,
right?
There are many ways to negotiate. So, anyways, I think he should not have peaced out with Marignon, for one thing. Now, given that he has, what should he do? Gath. It has to be Gath, right?
Or Utgard. Presumably, this isn't Marignon's anymore. But yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, we don't know what... Well, that's interesting, because I don't know if... like, suppose Marignon were to completely chicken out and peace out Utgard and just go fight Bogarus, right?
Yeah.
Now you have, like, a tiny Utgard versus a tiny Ulm. Do you take that fight as Ulm?
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, I think you do. I agree. I think it's basically the same. I mean, it's crossbows and Infinity Wolves. That's
but I mean, Ulm has better Astral than Marignon, so...
Yeah, no, I think they've got a great kit.
Astral's really good against Utgard.
Yeah, I would take that. But there's no reason for Ulm not to be taking all of Gath's land. No reason.
Right, yeah.
Go do it.
I don't even know if Gath's recruiting.
Well, I mean, he's recruiting like 2 guys he took, his scales are garbage. Yeah. So,
I mean, there's literally 100 Gath troops. Let's look at the score graph. Like, where's Gath? Army size. This. So here's Ulm. Now a lot of these are wolves, so they don't count, but still.
No, anyway. I think, but you don't even have, even if you don't get Gath itself, like there's no reason to not take those 6 other provinces, right?
Yeah, so Ulm's in a different, so like Gath isn't doing anything, and is a one-cap nation.
Mm-hmm.
Ulm, they did stuff, but they're still a one-cap nation. So they tried and it didn't work, you know. But they still have to keep trying. Because they've got to figure out a play. You cannot stay this size and continue. Like, even as a powerful of a late game nation as Late Age Ulm is, you have to have a shot. You got to be bigger.
Yeah, so I think it has to be Gath and Utgard. I mean, if you take Gath and Utgard, you're a contender now.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, honestly, that's easy pickings. It's just like one way to look at this is Ulm is strategically positioned next to the weakest nations on the game, or in the map.
Yep. He's like in one of the best positions to take on. But again, that's a thing where I could easily see a newer player being intimidated by a big stack of
Gamherdings.
Gamherdings or Gibbors.
Gibbors, yeah.
Right? And it's not that they're not scary. They are scary, but you have the tools.
You have the tools. One way to think about a bless is you're getting things that a spell would give you, but you're getting them early. So by this time in the game, by turn 53, like you're going to have all the, the same types of stuff that they have on their bless. Like the bless isn't that important anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so
specifically, like if you have the nation Ulm, how are you going to deal with, like, let's say the regenerating quickness Gibbors, right? Well, the first thing is you're afraid, understandably, that quickness Gibbors, and there's going to be a big pile of them, right? It's going to be 50 of them, are just going to mow through your stuff and chew through everything too fast for you to be able to do anything about it. So the easy and obvious way that you counter that is with your wolves, right? Because you have a huge chaff screen, And
It's just like Will of Fates. Done.
yeah,
Lots of humans, wolves. You have your Ghoul Well, the Ghoul Guardians don't take Will of Fates, but you still have them.
but yeah,
Will of Fates, done.
Will of the Fates with wolves and especially because like with 50 wolves, it's not that great, but with like a bajillion wolves that you have, like the Gibbers will never get there. Honestly, the Gibbers will probably fatigue themselves out with quickness. Just
you don't have to kill. I mean, you want to be careful about how many wolves you bring because you don't want to HP route your army with them. But
yeah, you want HP route yourself. But
yeah,
still.
but yeah, I mean,
So
and the
that's
crossbows
how
I don't think are a great choice for these guys. But the crossbows are a great choice. So maybe.
Well, he has fire. He has a fire shock resistance. But I was going to say,
Well, no, who does?
Okay, hang on. Let me just wrap up with the Gibbers. Like,
Yeah.
the first thing is we were afraid of how we're going to survive these scary giants with quickness, right? So,
Yeah.
Will of the Fates, wolves. Now, how do you actually kill them? Well, earlier on in the game, that was an issue.
Right.
Because you're thinking crossbows, but crossbows versus regen dudes who have like
Gibbers.
15 protection.
They
I
have
mean, it's okay,
shields. Yeah.
yeah, it's not great.
It's not great.
Although
I would
you
avoid
have-
it. Let's mark it. Put in the avoid crossbows category.
Yeah, and the other thing is, yeah, you have like the Ghoul Guardians, but you've got the like wolves in front. Like the Ghoul Guardians in the early game, that's probably your best bet. Let's put it that way.
Right.
At this point in the game, at turn 50,
Yeah.
it's mages. It's time for
It's mages. Yeah.
right?
And giants do not like a bunch of astral mages.
You have astral. It's astral mages all the way, right?
Yeah.
Soul Slay, done. Okay.
Done.
Now, for the Gamherdings, it's slightly different. The Gamherdings are a lot less tankier. They have pretty bad protection. Now, to be fair though, at this late in the game, you should expect, even though we haven't seen it yet, but you should expect protection buffs on the Sacreds.
Yeah.
So crossbows are potentially effective. They're not going to be.
Yeah.
On turn 50, it won't be amazing, but it's still you can.
But they don't have fire shock, right?
I think they do, because it's a monolith, right? So what else did he take with Earth?
No, he took a reinvigoration or something.
Oh, well then definitely crossbows.
Wait, where the hell are the? Yeah.
Oh,
He took a
no.
reinvigoration. Yeah.
Okay, yes, then crossbows.
Yeah.
Please, crossbows. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I take if right now if wealth is measured in crossbows, you're really rich as Ulm. So you take your crossbows, wolves, your Will of Fates, your flaming arrows, and you kill Utgard.
and not only that,
And then you repurpose your army, and hopefully this Gath hasn't been eaten by the time you bring your army back up.
But, and then you're thinking, oh wait a minute, but I heard they can do like crazy
Skelly spam
communions. Well, yes,
Crossbows actually are okay against Skelly spam if you have enough of
yeah,
them.
you just gotta get your crossbows right on the front so that they have a chance of reaching the so
The
they
mages and
choose
stuff,
should
yeah.
they want to, shoot the mages in the back. And again, Will of the Fates Wolves, also surprisingly effective buffer against Skelly spam for a while, right? While your crossbows get their shots
Yeah.
in and eventually kill the mages. And Astral Mages are a good path also in that case, because you can still...
But yeah,
Go ahead.
I think too, like putting this in context, and again, it's like going back to making plays. Like you and I were never like, oh man, that was a bad move to attack Marignan, and oh, he lost that army. Like that was a big mistake, and that's when the whole thing turned south. We're like, no, okay, that kind of made a statement that that war was not going to work for him, or did not seem to be working. But he made a play, and that is what you have to do to win a game. So that play didn't work. It's like, okay, time to make another play. So like even if you go south and you run into like all the turbo communion mages we haven't been seeing but we've heard about, you know, if he runs into them and he loses, well, you tried. Like you're making a play to win. So
Like, yeah, because we're talking about Ulm here. Like, I think the Ulm has the player playing Ulm maybe is lacking in like the confidence and the knowledge of
Right.
how to use the toolkit and what plays he can make. But
right.
and you know,
He seems like he wants to do stuff. Like he doesn't seem lazy. Like he's trying to do stuff, but he seems like discouraged.
Well, so he's playing it super conservatively, and that's
Yeah.
because he doesn't realize the full potential
Right.
of what his things can do, right?
Right.
So we look at that, and we look at Alm and we look at Utgard, and we're like, oh yeah, Utgard's dead.
Yeah, Utgard's just dead.
But the player who's playing Alm right now is looking at it and maybe saying like, ugh, I don't know, that's a lot of sacreds, right? And we're like, no, dude, that's not.
This is like if you're a used card dealer and you gave a used card to Utgard, but they've got it on, they've paid for it with a loan and they haven't been making their payments, and you have to go repo your car. Like, you can choose to not repo it and let them hold on to it, but you should probably go get it.
Yeah, you should probably.
It's your car.
Right? But that that is what you're learning, right, as you play
Right.
these games. All right.
So it's interesting, but yeah, we're pretty close. I think we're a few turns away from Gath getting a sub, so that's going to be interesting. And we got a more experienced player who volunteered to sub, so it'll be interesting to see what they shake it up. And I mean, Gath's in, I think, an untenable position. But
Oh, I didn't realize that there was a sub who came.
yeah, there will be one. I can't. I think it's in like 3 or 4 turns, so stay tuned. But
Well, hopefully there'll be something left for him to take over.
yeah, but they're going to wake up and
All right.
at least ride out.
Well, stay tuned for the exciting return of Gath on turn 58 or whatever it is.
Yeah. all the other nations got like a 50 turn head start. Go.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for watching.
See you guys later. Take care.